So this is just a standard Harbor Freight bandsaw, and originally to make it a horizontal bandsaw like this, it had a plate that mounted on these two, and it's real flimsy, and after like taking it out 2 times it stripped out right there, so I said screw it. And then when I did need it, I made this bandsaw table. All it is, and I just put it right in there, and as long as my floor is level, that guy will stay right like that. So when I first made this, I just made it out of scrap material that I had laying around. So this was the only plate that I had, and it's actually only a 20 gauge, I think. So that's why it's only this wide. I would like it to be out here, but I only had, I think, I don't know, I'll measure it for you guys, but wide enough to where the legs would sit on each side and stay nice and firm. So I measured up, and I should have gone lower on it, but I wanted to make sure that this would clear this guy so that when it slid up, I would have the most amount of space that I could use. But I could have actually lowered it probably a ½ an inch. So here's what the bottom looks like. I welded it with 309 filler metal because I just really like welding the stainless. I welded TIG welded stainless exhaust for sport bikes for 9 years. So whenever I can, I like to use that when it's plausible. This isn't for any strength really, it's just a bandsaw stand. But anyways, so this is how I made it. If I could do it again, I would probably... See, I didn't know exactly where this was going to be, and I lucked out that it wasn't out through here, but so I triangulated it, and I might eventually put a piece in that comes all the way out to here, and then rolls down, because occasionally it'll go and vibrate because it's so thin. And if I had 1/8 inch material, some 10 gauge or 11 gauge, that would have been better, but this was all just scrap. So all I did to build it was I cut out the biggest sheet that I could with the scrap material I had, and I'll measure it for you guys. Let's see. Looks like 15 inches by 10 inches. And then once I had that frame built, I ground off the welds that were right here in the corners and put the legs on, which are, it'll be different for each person's stand, but 33 1/8. And I put those on and made them real nice and square. And then the last thing I did is flipped it over, put this sheet on, and let me show you. And I just fusion welded this whole top onto it. And I just used a number 12 because, like I said, I used to weld stainless, so I like to make pretty colors. But all I did was backstep it, and I got 0 warpage off of it. So I tacked it every inch all the way along, and then I went about no more than 2 inches at a time, and I went backwards this way. So I went there, because I'm a lefty, there, then let it cool down, then there, you know, and I just backstep the whole way until I got the whole thing done. And that's why you can see right here I got impatient on the last couple ones, and that's why they're purple. It's because I didn't let it cool down long enough before I started again. Especially there. So basically all that means is you get your coloring from the time that it had gas coverage after you stopped welding to when the material cools down low enough. They have charts. I can't remember the exact temps, but each one, like silver, means that it stayed under gas coverage until it was like 200 or 300 degrees, and then you'll get the straw if it's you know, 50 degrees higher than that, and then purple's another 20 or 50, and it goes all the way up until you're in gray. But anyways, it's just backstepped, and I just used the pulse because that thing has pulse, and why not? I drilled a hole once I found where I needed it. Basically, I just set it up there and marked out where the blade was going to go, and then drew a straight line back and drilled a hole at the end, and then followed cut lines all the way down to it. And yeah, that's my bandsaw table. So here's some bonus info about coloring. You can see it's silver in here, and that's because it's very easy in a fillet weld to get good coloring. You don't even have to use stainless filler. It just helps a little bit to keep that color. You can get the same results with ER70S6 or ER70S2. That's all I use. But when you get to the outside corners, you get more coloring because the gas will disperse on those more. So you can only get just barely further than your cup width before it'll start coloring. But on the fillet welds, when your cup's over it, that gas, that argon is flowing, hitting it and then flowing down through that channel, so you get a good coloring. But see on the outside, see I was going this way with it, so once I got past this and I stopped, the gas coverage wasn't very good over here, so you can see the blue and the red. And same on the back side there.